Welcome back, everybody. You are watching the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel, and you are looking at this very moment at a Sears Kenmore 158.1516 or the 1516 0 model. This is the first time I've worked on this specific model. I've worked on many Kenmores from this era. Many of the other models from the same year, I'm guessing 1969, 68, 69, 70 or so. Now, this machine, if you watch the other videos, you will recall of that I actually pulled out a bunch of thread out of the stuck area, and I've gotten everything running. I have gotten all the old oil loosened up. She turns beautifully now. And I thought, oh, this is great. You know, we're almost there. I need to go through and obviously go through all the other systems, checking the various things that I do. You've seen in many videos. But I came across something that I wanted to kind of show you, because some of you, particularly if you're new at waking up an old sewing machine, you might find this and just be totally perplexed at why something's not working when it should be. So let's take a look. I have this machine plugged in, and let me shut this so you're not blinded by that bulb. By this time, when you turn the machine on for power, it puts the light on whether you need it or not. That's just kind of how they work. So I'm going to show you now. I want you to see, watch the needle. Let me turn the light off. You can see the needle a little bit better. Here's the needle right here. I'm going to turn. This lower knob is the stitch width. Now watch, do you see the needle turning to the right? Let me zoom in, make sure you can see. So keep focused on the needle, all right? Right now it's set, that lower dial that you saw me grab, I've got it again. The stitch width is set on S for straight. And then as I turn it to the right, watch the needle, it'll move to the left. Watch that, right? I can go back and forth, it's smooth. I have gone behind, underneath, above the machine, and I have basically oiled everything, even the feed dog drop, which it probably hadn't moved since somewhere in the 70s, so it was really stiff, but I have gotten it moving. I also went inside, and I'm going to show you, since we have the lid off, take a look for just a moment. And I'll zoom in. Let's see if we can get, I want you to see the linkages. You will see down here, these are the areas that I've often talked about. Hey, you need to get these areas moving, cleaned, lubricated, woken up, and then you don't have to worry about all your plastic on the outside. It shouldn't break because it's designed to work with metal as long as the metal is not locked up. Because if metal and plastic get in a fight, the metal's going to win. So I'm going to reach down here and touch that lower knob, and I want you to see what happens. See where I'm at. When I turn that knob, watch this area for things moving. Do you see that? Look right here. You're going to see pieces moving, right? This is the movement. Now, if I grab the upper knob, which is above, watch this little piece right here. Okay, right now I'm on, I think, the longest stitch length. Now watch this. You see that? You see the machine moving? When I turn it back, it's spring-loaded, and over here, this is these are called cam followers. I sometimes call them fingers, but they're cam followers, right? So you see this one, right? This is the little edge that will follow a cam, just like that. Underneath it is yet another cam follower, and unless you're looking, it's right there. There's another one there, right? And the reason you have two is because this machine can use cams that either have one row, like that one. You can see when I say row, I mean you see one area of patterning, but they also made other cams that had two. That's why you have those two follower fingers, as I like to call them. Okay. So there are times when you are working on a machine and you get it moving. It doesn't all move at once. It's not like a eureka dramatic moment sometimes. just getting it to move at all. Of course, I work on the straight stitch movement first, and then I work on the zigzag. Well, after doing this and watching my knob, I know my linkages are all moving. They're not stuck. Keep in mind, you might get certain things moving and think everything's okay, but all of these linkages, some of them were used more often than others, and their level of stuckness, I just made that word up, sorry, varies. And so some things you'll get moving faster than others, like this top cam follower. It's been very easy to get moving from the time I got the machine. The one underneath, it needed more time, more penetrant, more oil, more coaxing, and then I would take it, and move it, with my finger. No pun intended. Let's pull this out of the way you can see, right? So notice I can move this. I think you can notice it. When I push here, okay, I can move that lower cam follower, right? And when I do that, now that you can see what I was moving up top, now watch the needle bar, okay? So the needle bar is moving. So I know, finally, and you have to go back and check because it's easy to miss something, or something started to move for you and then it hung up again because it just needs a little bit more working. But when you have done that and you've gotten it all together, why is the machine not behaving as it should? And I will show you what it did when I did an initial plug-in because I knew I had gotten things loosened. So we'll close this, we'll turn it on, and I will let it run. Now, I'm going to move it over here. Right now, the stitch length is less important for our purposes, but right now it's on long, and that's fine. Down here, it's on straight, okay? So what do we expect? Well, when you have it on straight stitch, you expect just that. The needle's going to move up and down vertically, but it's not going to be swinging side to side, right? And it has that, oh my gosh, it's so lovely. It's one of the most quiet. These Japanese machines, I mean, I've got the lid off, and it makes very little noise, and it's an oscillating style machine, right? You can hear a little bit more if I send it up, but notice it is moving up and down as it should. It's in straight stitch mode. Well, okay, let's turn this, and we'll turn it all the way for the widest zigzag, okay? I'm going to turn it from straight all the way over, and when I do, and let's get back on the needle, and I'll just go back once more. You can see the needle moving, right? Everything is moving. Everything is freed. So now I should be getting a zigzag, and you should see the needle hopping from side to side. Uh-oh, there's no side to side. So if this happens to you, do not panic. I promise you, it may not be you, and it may not, well, it is kind of you. It's not the machine, and it's not you. It is waiting. What is it waiting for? If you have the manual to your machine, look at your manual and go into the area where it talks about zigzag. I have shown all of you before sewing machines of different brands, and there are two principally I'll talk about, the Singer 400 series and the 500 and so forth. These were the slant-o-matic machines after the 301, which was dedicated straight stitch. The 400, the 500, and then later on the 600. They are multi-stitch machines. They came available with zigzag, but they also came as straight stitchers. Remember, because sewing machines were so expensive, people had different levels of ability to pay for one. And so let's say you went into a store and you said, well, we can barely afford a new machine. It's straight stitch only. And there's nothing wrong with that. But my friends, my neighbors, they're talking to me about zigzag, and oh, they even have multi-stitch. I really want a multi-stitch, but I can't afford one. Remember, if you were dealing with something like a Singer 404, which was a straight stitch, a 403, which was zigzag multi-stitch capable, hold on to that concept, and then the 401A, which was the top of the line. It had built-in cams. Cams, of course, are discs that allow the machine to create patterns, and they control the needle bar movement in terms of its motion, and that is why I was pointing to these little cam followers. The cam followers, they work sort of like the way a music box does. Okay, so if you did not have the money and you could only buy the straight stitch machine, well, that's what you got, and you worked with it, and it would have been fine. But if someone, the salespeople might have pushed you toward, well, what if you got the top of the line? You have ZigZag, you have multi-stitch, you can do all this stuff. Well, that was incredibly expensive. And then there were other machines in the middle. The Singer 403 was ZigZag and multi-stitch capable. What that meant was it did not have the built-in steel cams because, of course, that was a higher production cost and they had to charge more for the machine. No, they did not have the built-in cams, but the Singer 403, the 403 and a number of Kenmore machines did the same thing. You could get a straight stitch Kenmore, okay, the lower priced machine. You could get Kenmore's, and I've shown all of you these, that have all kinds of built-in stitches. The 1941 series, those cream-colored free arms I've shown recently in videos. Those machines you could get as you could get more basic versions that might be capable. You could get the 1941, which many of you have seen, that has those built-in utility stitches, reverse stitches, all steel cams inside. You just turn it in, you go. Or if you really, really had a big checkbook, because people actually wrote checks back then, you could get the 1931, which I've shown in recent videos. And of course, it had the built-in utility stitches, and you could add decorative stitch cams. The point of all this is that the more features you had, the more you paid. Well, there were price point sensitive customers. They could afford more than a straight stitch, but they couldn't afford the top of the line. And machines like this Kenmore and the 403 in the Singer line, they answered that question. They were more costly to build than a straight stitcher, but not nearly as costly as the fully built-in automated multi-stitch wonders that you could buy if you had the money. So I have shown Kenmore's in the past. The 1750 series and 1752, also with 158, they were made by Maruzen. They were a little earlier, and you've seen them. You can go back and look at my videos. They are sort of a pistachio green and cream two-tone numbers. Wonderful machines. If you got the top of the line in those, you didn't. You could get decorative cams, and the owner of this machine has a box full of them. But always look. If your machine was in the middle range, it might require a cam in order to do ZigZag. And this is one of them. And this says cam number 1. Okay? Not any of the other cams. You need this cam in order to do ZigZag. And until you put that cam in there, you're not getting ZigZag. You're going to get straight stitch. And you can move the needle back and over, to the left or whatever, but you're not getting ZigZag without it. And to prove that point, we're going to put it in now, and I'll show you. So, turn your machine off before you do this. You do not want the machine moving around when your fingers are in it. That's common sense, right? Now, notice obviously you're going to line up the hole. There's a pin up here, right? And you use this for any of the cams. When you have decorative stitch cams, follow your manual because it will probably instruct you to put it in a certain place because that impacts where the pattern begins, okay? Now remember, you've got 2 cam followers. Let's zoom back in. Remember, you have more than one cam follower. And if you line this cam up with this cam follower, it's not going to work, and you're going to be unhappy, and you're going to think, oh, my machine is broken. What's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with the machine. You just haven't read enough of your manual, even if you're a smart person, and I'm sure you are. No. So we're going to move this finger, this cam follower finger back, yes, but we have to move the lower follower, which is down here. It has to be back because that's what's going to actually follow this cam and most of the cams. It's only when you have the double stack cam I showed you before, that's when both of these followers will work. So I've got both of the cam followers back. I'm going to install the cam and I'm going to hear it go click, just like that. And when I release, this top follower is not going to follow the cam, but that's okay. It's not supposed to. It's the lower follower that you can't really see. It will. So now let's see what we have. I've got my ZigZag set for wide. Let's see what she does. Now, look at how that is following and hopping back and forth. Now we have ZigZag. So if you ever get a machine like this and you're not sure, look at your manual. But always remember, you could have a machine that is ZigZag capable, but it won't work without the cam. If you have the fanciest model, you may not need that. You may have cams, but they're all for the decorative stitches. But you're going to have a cam like this to get ZigZag. Hope that was helpful for all of you. That's one of those little mysteries that can really confuse people when they think they've got a machine and they don't understand why it works. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will see you in the next video.